Hello, everyone. This is just candid speaking and just thought process on how things are going concerning the political climate atmosphere that we're facing and the fears that are placed on people to vote one way or the other. I had a dream last night and still asking God for much clarity, but it showed me from the Democratic side that I was in the bathroom and there were men and women, gay and straight, um, allowed to use the same restroom. And I was like, there's something wrong with this picture. But what I did gather from that dream is that though the Democratic Party is positioned as the party for the Black, brown people, what have you, it's so to the point to where it's taken certain liberties away. Some of our, I know most people would say the Republican Party, though it says it's the Christian party, has, issues with racism. All of them have issues with racism. It's not just one or the other, but I do get what the concern is from the other. But with the Republican Party, it still holds the standard and the knowledge of Jesus. I mean, it keeps that in place, our Christian belief. It keeps certain ordinances that protect those of us that are believers, though there are issues, like I said, on both sides. But in this dream, you had men and women, gay and straight, able to come into the bathroom. And I realized again that it was showing that the liberal portion of that is very, very, very dangerous. And then contemplating and just going over in my mind the Republican Party, and how people are focusing their viewpoint with that as far as the racist party. It's not about it being a racist party. It's what they stand for. And as I stated, there's racism on both sides. It's something that's been long before our time, before Jesus' time. Racism was very evident and out here, and he dealt with it. He was, crucified by those that call themselves Christians. So you're not going to get away from that. The bottom line is standing for Jesus. As I left up out of the bathroom part of that dream, I was attacked by a guy in the dream. And I just began to plead Jesus. I just began to plead the blood of Jesus and say, Jesus, 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 because he was upset because of the political atmosphere and choosing the party in which way I was supposed to and needed to choose. In the dream, my focus was more so on my Christian viewpoints. Again, it's not about a party. It's about Jesus, and it's about who's going to uphold the beliefs that we stand for while God himself fight for the inequities and the things that exist, because they do exist, in, that particular party. And as I came up, at first he was conquering me, and then I ended up on top of him and won that battle with Jesus as the forefront, calling on his name, and came up out of that. And I want to tell you all, I mean, you can make it a Democratic or Republican issue. It's not about these parties at all. It's about Jesus. It's about our Christian beliefs. And yes, there are problems in this society, and things have to change, but I believe there's a turning point that is before us, but we have to position ourselves, in leadership, in places that actually make change, write the bills, write the, laws, not just being, holding up signs, this, that, and the other, because that really isn't cutting anything, to be honest with you. All these protests, this, that, and other, yes, it's bringing awareness to the world and may make you feel good, but until you're behind those closed doors and a part of the ones that aren't seen each and every day, that are back there making these laws and writing, the legislation, this, that, and the other, that is actually where the changes is being made. And we need to, as a Black community, as a brown community, what have you, start training our children to not just be these athletes that's running on a field like a circus for people that's making billions of dollars. And yes, they may get a nice little cut here and there, but they're just like animals out there. I'm sorry. It works, and I'm not speaking against it, because it has made a difference for some, but it's not making a difference for the community, not the Black and brown community. So therefore, it's not doing anything. It's irrelevant, especially when things need to change. And again, I say change will come with our focus on the Lord, but also wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. We perish for lack of knowledge, and it's time to start making the change, making the difference where it really counts. And it takes time. It takes people that are willing to talk about, the issues, sending kids from a community and having them go to school to be doctors and lawyers and work in certain positions where they can actually become judges, be up for nominations for the Supreme Court and things of that nature. And, you pay for them to come, and then you have it where they have to come back and give to the community, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And then they can go on and go wherever else they want to go if they so choose. But hopefully, with the proper changes, they'll want to stay. That's part of those scholarships, creating scholarships within the community that bring our people, just like they do it for schools, with getting teachers. They give out these scholarships, and then those teachers have to, in turn, come back and serve the institution for so many years. Our communities need to start doing that, being there, creating a bridge to bring our children back to something, to these clinics, medical, agriculture. It does not matter. Sitting at the round table and creating something that brings quality back into the community, versus everybody leaving out and never wanting to come back because there's nothing for them to come back to. We have to set the precedent. We have to be the change. We have to be the change. And again, like I stated with that dream, yes, I get what everyone is saying and why they're wanting to, stick with a party that seems to be more lenient and more for them, but it's to the detriment of us all. And with the other, as I stated, there are problems on both sides. But in that dream, seeing how with the Democratic Party in the dream, how I saw a mixture of men in that women's bathroom, and no one could move them out. And like I stated, it wasn't just people that, and I don't have anything against gays or lesbians or whatever, but these were men that were allowed in that bathroom, both from the LGBT as well as straight. There was so much liberty and so much freedom to just do whatever you wanted, and no one could say anything. It was where we were headed. And I'm not stating that it's just about a bathroom thing, but in that dream, I realized that we're going to lose ourselves if we go that route. And, as I stated again earlier, I get what the issue is. Yes, again, there are issues, there are problems, but One thing with the Republican Party is that it will uphold the Christian value, the Christian that, that we stand for Christ. And just because someone says they are Christian or whatever, we know that they're not. I mean, because it's a heart thing. If you don't have a heart and a love for all people, you're not a Christian. But I'm a firm believer. If you're upholding that I believe in and believe for and am about, that Jesus will show up. God will not fail us. He will not. Things are happening. And like I stated, we've got to take a stand and start moving in the proper direction to do things to make that change. We must be the change. We are the change. And we need to think long and hard about this political arena and where it's going for this election, because it will set precedents either way it goes. But it's better to be for one that's going to uphold your beliefs and you put in the work, and yes, keep fighting for what you believe, making the change. And as I stated, it's going to be beyond just holding up signs. Thank God for those that have gone out and, are fighting for their rights. But until you're writing the laws and in the place of making changes like that and setting things up in the community to where you can actually bring quality back into the community to build it. And as I stated, that would come from scholarships, create scholarships from the community standpoint, like the education, Teach America, something like that, where you can get a scholarship, but you have to go back into an educational system to where you're giving them, 5 years of your life for the money that they pay for you to go to school with. In our Black and Brown communities, we need to do the same thing, create scholarships, pay for these children that, are making the grade and showing that they have the mind and the intelligence and have been gifted to go to the next level and create institutions back in the community to bring them back and let them help build our communities. It's time to take our communities back, time to take our city back. It's time to take our lives, our homes. It's time to take our city back. It is time. Don't get distracted with all the madness. It's set up for you to do just that. Be distracted and be drawn over here, and because it looks good, it sounds good. It's the tinkling of the ears that the Bible speak of. It sounds good, so it draws you. Don't be so easily swayed. It's you're actually they're relying on you to fall into the trap. They're relying on you. And I go back to, thank you, Holy Ghost, for bringing it to my remembrance. My uncle, who was a Star Chart Democrat, mayor 2 terms out in a Chicago suburb, politician to the heart. He passed away 2 years ago. I think it's 2 years. 1 year, 2 years. It's December. And he came to me in my dream and he said, and this was about 6-7 months ago, he said, I've never voted outside of the Democrat Party, but this year I must vote differently. I must vote Republican. I remember the dream. I didn't it was kind of interesting that he would come to me. He's passed away, so he can't vote. But to hear him say in that dream that he was voting Republican, I knew God was speaking, but I didn't know the fullness of it. And I'm a Republican. I mean, it's no here nor there. And it's because of my Christian beliefs. But to hear him and see him in that dream, and then for this dream to come to me last night, I know God is speaking. And people, you're going to do what you want to do. But I will say, fast and pray if you must. Don't get caught up. The Democrats have been Democrats. When the Democrats have been in office, what has changed in the Black and brown communities? Honestly, where's changed? Why are we where we are? What has changed even with the being Republican? Everything tends to remain the same. No matter who is in there, one little thing may be given or, just appease. It's time to get up and move out and do do the work. We all want to place it on a political person's, a political party's shoulders because we're lazy. We've become laid back, even lazy Christians, where we end up falling into things we shouldn't fall into, sins that we commit, going against the very thing, the very nature of that we know. Being blindsided, being distracted, whatever those distractions are. I plead with you, my brothers, my sisters, Black, brown, white. It doesn't matter. If you say that you are a believer and you love Jesus, you must go with a party that's going to uphold those values. Each party has racism issues. So it's not about racism. Get out of that. Move past that. This is about Jesus. This is about truly standing for something and fighting for it with clear conscience, knowing that Jesus is going to help you and not just sitting back, not just sitting saying, oh, Jesus is going to fix it. You've got to put in some work. I've got to put in some work. Can't just sit back and think it's going to just fall out the sky. No, it doesn't. You got to make some noise, but you got to get in and learn the system, learn how to do the changes. And I think for, again, the Black and brown communities, one of the greater starts is start breeding what you're wanting to come out of your community. Breed lawyers, breed, those that will become judges, those that will go into the legislation, doctors, even police officers, law enforcement. One thing you can learn from the making of America, that we call America. The white man brought the slaves over and bred them. So they're masters at breeding. Learn from it. Breed what you want and what you need and what you want to see. But do it with the heart of Christ, with love in your heart. We all have to love. And God is love. And yes, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. Democrats don't necessarily talk about religion at all. That's just not their forte. It's not their thing. But for those Republicans that are saying they're Christian, what have you, if you're out there killing people, hating people because of the color of their skin, you're going to bust hell wide open. But you know what? It's not my place or my space to give you a direction. That's for God. One thing for sure, I can tell you, he tries the heart. He knows the heart. And if your heart's not right, he's going to say, depart. He's not accepting you in. But guess what? He may be using you to keep the door open for him in this place, to keep us protected on a religious front. Our Christian values are very important. And for me, the dreams are very vivid. They're what it is. One is going to be, the Democrats are showing forth to be too liberal, too free. Everything goes. And in everything going, it's going to take away from the believer. And anything that's going to take away from the believer, I cannot stand for it. I cannot stand with it. I mean, because I can't make a choice here or there on who's going to win that election. I'm going to stand for Jesus, whatever I do. That's my choice. And just like I've made wrong choices, fell in sin, what have you, and he's forgiven me, there are those out there that are racist today that God's going to deal with those hearts. And he's going to forgive them too. If they ask forgiveness, we have to ask forgiveness. So I'm not giving up on anyone based on what they look like or say today. At the end, it's all about the heart. And in this political race, don't vote for emotions. Don't vote your emotion, what the emotional climate is. Vote what your beliefs are. And if you are a Christian, you've got to go with who will uphold that you believe. And I know I probably was a little bit scattered with this, but I'm just speaking from the heart. It came to me that I need to share it. I need to, let my voice be heard as far as what the Spirit is speaking to me. And maybe it will make a difference. We can make a difference. We must be the change. We must be the change. Shermanda, signing off. God's blessings to you all. Peace and love.